We're going to give them the best day one, the biggest first week, and the most extraordinary first 100 days of any president in American history. The golden age of America is upon us. They're calling it the Trump effect because even before taking office, we're already bringing in the jobs and opportunity and safety and common sense back to the USA. Your border is a disaster, what's going on. And you just have a few days to wait. We're going to be fully operational, I would say, by about 2 o'clock on the 20th. We're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. This complete rip-off of our country will immediately stop. Woke has to stop because along with everything else, it's destroying our country. Woke is bull.
Welcome, everyone, to the Ladies of Liberty podcast. If you can't tell from the intro video, today we are diving in to what Trump is calling the next golden age. We're going to discuss what he means by that, some of the policies he wants to implement, and some of the policies that he wants to continue. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lisa. This is your co-host over here, Jay, and we are so excited to have you. This is our first episode, and it will be coming up right in with the new year 2025. And I figured before we dive in, Jay, I think we should maybe introduce ourselves to the audience, let people know who we are, what our background is, and really dive in there, because we're going to try to upload these every week, at least a video every week. So I guess I will go first. My name is Lisa. I am a historian. I am a school mother. And I absolutely love American history. I run the podcast YouTube channel, Historical USA. You can find me over on Instagram as well. And right now in the podcast, we are deep diving into the causes of the American Revolution. I have worked on congressional campaigns, political campaigns. I wouldn't call myself a political analyst, but I do a lot of political research. So I am really excited to be here.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jay, and I have been a military spouse for years, and I'm now a veteran spouse, which is quite a shift. I'm passionate about military, obviously, the VA, and I run the Woke News Network. Check it out. It's satirical comedy about the political systems in America. And I'm with my friend Lisa, and we're here to discuss issues. And I am passionate about politics and about where our country is headed. And I'm very excited that Trump has got elected. And I'm excited that you're watching our episode, and maybe you guys can glean a little bit of experience that we have insight to the military, to the VA, and things that normal civilians just don't know.
Right. And Jay, I will say, is a bit of an activist. So she is more out there than I am, and she's a little more vocal in the public arena than I am on this setting. But we are both political junkies, and we are both very interested in what is going to be happening in the next coming years as we are entering into this Trumpsonian era. I would definitely say that, there was the Jeffersonian era of politics, the Jacksonian era of politics, the progressive era of politics, and we are entering a new phase of political history here. And I will call that the Trumpsonian era, because he has definitely, since he entered the scene in 2016, has taken politics and what we knew about politics and how politics was run for the last 70 years and completely turned it on its head. And so as a historian, I am excited to continue to witness this kind of era of Trump and what that means for the GOP, what that even means for the DNC. I mean, we're all kind of I think we're all trying to keep up with President Trump. I don't think we've ever seen a political figure that has kept the news cycle spinning as much as Trump has. Now, I don't know about you, Jay, but 2016 was exciting. Trump came in, but he had absolutely no clue what he was doing. I don't think he expected to win. I don't think that he was prepared to win. I think it's pretty obvious that he didn't know who to trust, didn't know how deep the swamp is in DC, and was trying to kind of learn the job as he went. Do you agree with that?
I have to disagree. I am pretty sure that I would bet $100 that Trump knew he was going to win, because whatever he does, he goes after winning. I believe that he knew he was going to win, in my opinion. He didn't have the experience, but he was a businessman, and we need a businessman to run the country and not a politician, and that's what he is. So
Well, I disagree with you because he actually came out and said he did not think he was going to win in 2016.
he did.
He came out and said he did not think he was going to win in 2016. And when he did win, he was as shocked as I think the rest of America that he won in 2016. And he has admitted that he trusted the wrong people. And I think you can agree with that. He trusted the wrong people to give him advice, to recommend certain positions. And for his first term, for those 4 years, we saw nobody but Brutuses stab him in the back constantly. I mean, and he knew it the moment Jeff Sessions recused himself that he had done a bad job in choosing some of the people. But 2020, he comes in and it is a whole new ball game. He is appointing people. He has set up a coalition of different voices. He's expanded the Republican tent incredibly huge. He has absolutely flipped the party bases. Okay. The Democrats' party base was the working class for nearly a century. And Trump has come in and he has totally stolen those voters out from under the DNC, out from under their radical woke policies that for whatever reason they thought was going to keep blue collar workers with them. They've completely abandoned the working class. So now we can talk about the civil war going on in the GOP at another video, because I think what's happening right now with Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Steve Bannon, Laura Loomer, and some of the civil war that's playing out on X right now is an interesting debate, but that's not what we're here for, okay? We're here for the Trump golden age. Jay and I have been doing a lot of research into this. So let's set the stage a little bit. What does Trump mean by a golden age? Now, in American history, the United States has had several golden ages. We have been a golden age of progress and innovation in the late 19th century, earliest 20th century, which Trump has talked a lot about actually in regards to his tariffs. He kind of wants to take a note out of that era of American history in industrialization, manufacturing, and kind of return America back to that era in its golden age. And in the 1950s, I mean, I think most Americans look at the 1950s as the Leave It to Beaver era. You know, that was when men were men, women were women. You didn't have all of the complicated messiness of, you know, the social scene now. And families thrived. They grew. And they became wealthy. Right? Ask a boomer, their parents could buy a house, you know, out of the Sears catalog. Like, I mean, housing was affordable back then. You know, America was growing, it was booming, it was thriving. You know, never mind the Jim Crow stuff, but economically, 1950s was a pretty good era. And it was considered the golden age of capitalism. And if there's one thing about Trump, he is a capitalist, and I think he wants to return America to those roots, okay? Those economic roots for sure. So let's deep dive here a little bit into what Trump means. I know you and I, we both watched Trump's speech at the Turning Point USA
In Arizona.
speech is almost 2 hours long, I think. So it's quite a lengthy speech, and he lays out some of these concepts here in this golden age. Now, when we get into this, first I want to talk about Trump's vision for the economy. Now, 2016, we saw a little glimmer of that, but it seems as though in 2020 he wants to take those policies of growth and push them further.
I agree with that. I think we saw more than a glimmer of that through
Mhm.
2017 to 2020. I mean, let's just cancel out the whole pandemic because that just didn't count. That was an anomaly.
Right.
But he cut so many regulations that Obama put on businesses that crippled small businesses and businesses in total. And from, I think it was almost day one in 2017, he had a stack of papers. I think it was taller than he was, or thereabouts, cutting all these regulations. And Americans thrived. Gas was low, things were cheaper. And he used tariffs also. However, he also used tariffs as leverage. And that's what he talks about in the Turning Point USA. I don't know if it's a conference, is his speech, that he's going to use them as leverage. Now he's not saying exactly how. He's not going to tell the countries and Turning Point exactly how he's going to do it because he wants to be a surprise. He's a deal maker. So we'll have to
Well, I
see what
think,
that means.
yeah, and I think we're kind of seeing that play out right now, especially when it comes to Canada and Mexico. I mean, he's not even the president, and we're seeing that pressure that he's putting on other countries, even with just the threat of a tariff,
We're seeing that
you know,
response
to
from them.
right. And we're seeing a global response, even just from his threats of a terror of tariffs, especially in Canada. I mean, Trudeau's government right now is essentially just collapsed, and the Canadian Parliament is in a complete tailspin over this. Now the question is that good?
It's
I
Canada.
mean, I don't know. Do we want Canada as a 51st state? I don't think
No, I
so.
do not want them. And I'm
But I
sure
think what
South Park can agree. They don't want them either.
right, right, and I think, like but
No.
for me, I think it's more like America is back. We are not in a kneeling position anymore. We are not going to be the cash cow for globalist programs. I think that just the fact that we have somebody that is sitting in the White House and actually steering the wheel from a position of strength
Not
is
even
pretty
yet.
phenomenal.
He's not even in the White
I
House,
know,
and
I
things are
know.
already changing. And
Well, where's
he
Biden?
he's on
Like, where is
vacation.
he? I mean,
He's
he's
licking
like
ice cream off his chest.
right. So he's doing that, but also his first term, I think he strengthened the military. You can't deny that.
We saw that.
Which
We
had
saw
been
raises.
right, which had been neglected for a very long time. I mean, since Papa Bush, who implemented those policies that has done nothing but strong arm and strip the military. And then you have Obama that came in and used the military as a social experiment, essentially.
And he also cut a
And
lot of troops as well. And he literally took money away from the military while ships and planes were deteriorating. They were begging for parts. And if you guys don't believe us, go to C-SPAN and look at the congressional hearings of these admirals begging the Congress for money.
yeah, yeah. So I'm excited. I know you, as being a military spouse, I'm closely associated with the military. I'm very excited to see what Trump does. I don't believe that he's going to get us into World War III.
The
He
opposite.
didn't do that in his first term when everybody screamed that he would. And the moment Biden came in, you had the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. You had Russia invade Ukraine. Then you had
Last year
the
we had October,
Palestinian-Israeli war.
right?
And
October
now you have
7th.
the Assad regime is overthrown, and there's a lot of chaos in the Middle East. None of that happened under okay. Trump's the only one that didn't start a new war. So I think if anything, Trump will be able to make headway and actually bring peace, negotiations, agreements in those conflicts. So I know as you are also a veteran spouse now, I'm closely associated with the military. I have a lot of military family. I'm really excited, and I think that America is going to enter a period of peace
And prosperity.
and prosperity. I mean, look at Trump at the Notre Dame. I mean, those world leaders were so excited to talk to him, to shake his hand. They were like lining up to get, attention from Donald Trump. So I'm really excited about this next golden age, especially when it comes to foreign policy, because to me, it shows that America doesn't just have a seat at the table anymore. We are at the head of the table. And that's where I think most Americans like to be.
And a lot of people like they won't admit it, even the left, but they want to see that alpha man in charge. Like you said, steering the wheel, not at the stern. They want him in the bow, they want him steering the wheel, and they want a person who's going to make things happen. They want a person who's going to make America safe and America great again, healthy. That's, his second agenda. The border secure, the military strong. People don't like to be around weak people. They don't like it. They're not
Right.
happy. Their situation is not safe. So these leaders that are on the far left, I think that they're secretly happy about this. Finally, somebody's going to take charge. And I'm not talking about the world, but they look to America as a beacon of hope. That's what America is, with secure borders. So you and I are very excited. I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited and they don't want to admit it. That's okay. You guys can admit it after he's inaugurated.
Right. So let's talk about the inauguration. What are some of Trump's plans for day one? Like,
So
what is that day one going to look like?
day one, and he was talking about that on an NBC interview, and he was also talking about that at the Turning Point USA speech that he said. He says day one at 2 p.m. All right, 1400, y'all. He wants to get together deportation team. I'm sure he already has a deportation team together, but that's what he wants. He wants all of those gangs out, these illegal immigrants out, and he's got tiers of them. Like first the illegal immigrants that are gang members, and frankly, maybe they have green cards, but he wants them out of the country for sure.
Yeah.
And he wants to kick everybody off. The illegal aliens that are on our food stamp, that are on the government dole, get them the hell out of here. It's going to be a massive operation. And he
So
also
on
wants to
day
go after illegal aliens that have come over here. And when people say, oh, well, illegal aliens that are not committing any crime, what do you not understand about illegal? They came over here illegally, even if they didn't steal from a store or commit a crime here. It doesn't matter. They shouldn't be here. And they're on our dime, and he wants them out.
Right.
So that, I believe, is number one, border
Yeah, so the
security.
border is going to be I think that's rightly going to be his biggest priority, because let's be honest, that was the biggest issue that he ran on. So that makes a lot of sense. And it's pretty obvious they're already starting work on that. Holman's already met with Eric Adams in New York. I think he's already meeting with other mayors, issuing warnings to other mayors. So that
And
is something that
governors.
is happening right now. Another thing that Trump said on day one, he will federally recognize that there are only two genders. Is that
Yep.
so?
Federally.
So that is going to be a fight on the left. That's going to be a huge fight on the left. But what he'll do is, I think what he's going to do is end some of those Biden policies when it comes to the transgender stuff that they've allowed in, Title IX. That needs to get out of there.
Right.
Title IX is
He
not
talks about that. He wants men
right.
out of women's sports ASAP.
And
that,
Biden put that in Title IX.
yes, he
That
did.
a lot of men have the right to participate in female sports. And
It doesn't
that is
matter
not
doesn't matter if you shave your chest and you have breast implants. You're out of there.
it doesn't honestly, and it doesn't even matter to me if you have been on hormones for a number of years.
You're still a
That doesn't
man.
matter to me. You are still a
You're
man.
still a man.
Okay. It doesn't change you might mess up your own hormonal system, but it doesn't change your your bone structure. It doesn't change that you are still a dude.
And when you pass on to the next world or wherever you go, if they were to exhume your body, they would say, "This is a man. He has a pink wig, but you're still a man."
Right. Right. So I'm really excited about that. Get rid of that insanity in Title IX.
He's
Leave
also going
women's
to
sports
stop
alone. Leave women's spaces alone. You
stop
know,
the transgender mutilation of children. He
of
said day
children.
one, he wants to
Absolutely.
stop that day one.
Yeah. So that will be really interesting. He also wants to stop the electric vehicle mandate.
And
And then
open
he
up
also wants
drilling.
to unleash American industry. Take the cap off of American oil. Drill, baby, drill.
Drill.
Drill, baby, drill. So those are going to be two awesome. Those are going to be some awesome things. I can already see the lawsuits lining up like they did in 2016, but we'll see. He wants to end CRT and DEI and get rid of some of these DEI departments.
They're whole departments that your tax dollars are paying towards to learn CRT, DEI, pretty much affirmative action. It's not merit based. He says, I want to bring back America to merit based. Can you imagine the best person for the job instead of your genitals or your skin color? Imagine that. What a
Well,
concept.
you know what? So Trump's getting inaugurated on MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
And Martin Luther King said he wanted his children to be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And we have fallen so far away from that in the name of equity.
Right.
You
But they
don't want to
don't
have
look
to
at that.
continue to fill in a quota of, X amount of women, X amount of minorities. You want to be able to hire people based on the content and of their character. What are their
And their
qualifications?
qualifications and their
On their
merit.
qualifications and their merit. Yeah, absolutely.
He also
Another
wants to
thing I love,
build the Iron Dome. I think that's
yes.
pretty, I'm excited about that.
How would that even work for America? I'm very interested
We're huge. We're a
because
huge country.
Israel is like the size of Delaware. I mean, it's
Right.
like, how are we going to implement something like that? And I
Space
think,
Force,
but
I don't know. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I'm interested to learn more about that. And I think in this kind of nuclear age that we live in, we should have some kind of Star Wars type system. Isn't that what Reagan called it? Star Wars,
I think
his
so.
space missile system. I think it is. Let me know in the comments if I'm right. I'm pretty sure, just
I'm
off the
not
top of
sure.
my head.
Yeah. Also, he wants to, and I was so happy to hear this. I heard him say this during the campaign, but he said he's going to return, he's going to restore the proper names to the military bases. Thank you, because Fort Gordon is Fort Eisenhower anymore. So the left loves to change things, change history. So he's going to restore all those names. Was it a lot of money to change the names from Fort Gordon in Georgia to Eisenhower? Hell yeah, it sure was. They had to change all they changed the website. It's a lot of work. They changed the sign on the entrances. It's ridiculous, but he's going back to the original
Oh, he
name.
is.
So he is.
All right. Well, I could see that. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I think January 20th is going to be
Lit in a good way.
it's going to be lit. I think that the media is going to they got to get ready for their tail spinning. We've got cabinet confirmation sites, coming
Coming up
up.
on the
And even though
6th.
we like Trump and we support Trump, we don't agree on everything that Trump has because
No,
you
we
and I have a
don't.
video coming out on one of Trump's cabinet picks that we have a lot of reservations about. We're not
It's
so sure about.
questionable.
Questionable if that's the right position for that person. So stay tuned for that because we're not always going to like everything that Trump does. We support him. We want this president to succeed, just like we had hoped that Biden would succeed. He has not succeeded. In fact, he has not been our president for 4 years.
He has
If you believe the
reseeded.
Washington Times, he has diminished right in front of our eyes. It's worse than Woodrow Wilson, who had a stroke in the last 6 months of his administration. We've literally watched this man deteriorate and fall apart right in front of us.
He's receded to his New Jersey home 40% of his presidency has spent on vacations. 40%. Can you imagine if you did not show up 40% of the time for your job? However, you still got all of your benefits. You still got paid every single day. Can you imagine? Would you be fired? Yeah, you would be fired.
And we've fired him. So he's gone. Well, actually, we didn't fire him. I think the DNC snuck him outside and shot him
They
in the back. So we didn't fire him, but his own party kind of put him out to pasture. But I'm really excited for a Trump golden age. I am hopeful that he can get finished what he's started in 2016 and that we can see a new golden age of prosperity in America, age where everyone is thriving, a time when people can afford food and gas and possibly even buying a home, a time when rent isn't so sky high and our children can thrive and get a good education and have a future. Because right now, I mean, we're millennials, but I look at Gen Z and I look at how it is difficult. It's more difficult for them. It's
It's pretty
difficult for
bleak.
us,
Yeah.
but they're, graduating high school and coming into a world that the job opportunities aren't there like they were for us, like they were for our parents, like they were for Gen X. Housing costs are through the roof.
The
Um,
violence
the violence,
in the
our cities
cities
are on fire. New York City, like literally, is an insane asylum. They're not safe.
with weapons.
Um,
They
yeah, they're
it's an
not
insane
safe.
asylum with weapons and no padded cells.
Right. And I want to see America turn itself around. And I think with Trump at the helm, we have an opportunity to do that. Now, can the rest of the Republican Party unite and help get that done? I don't know. We might have to do a video on whether or not Mike Johnson is even going to make it through on January 3rd
Yeah,
because of all the infighting going on
he
right
needs to
now.
get out, but that's another video. Yeah. He
Really,
needs
I
to
don't think
go.
there's anybody else for the job.
Oh,
So you and
there's a
I
lot.
disagree on that. So we'll have to talk about
Yeah,
that,
we'll
I
have to
think.
talk about that later. Yeah.
But now, before we sign off, Jay, is there anything else that I missed that you wanted to talk about?
I think one of the biggest injustices is the J6 prisoners, people that just went into the Capitol, who didn't touch anything, who actually threw trash away, who picked things up, and also people who didn't even go into the Capitol. They have been treated so unfairly, so poorly. And Trump was asked if he was going to pardon them. He says, I'm going to take it case by case basis. But yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to pardon them. Not the people that assaulted officers, like I said. So that's going to be exciting. So those people have been rotting away as political prisoners, and that's going to be huge. He said he's going to do that, I believe, day one.
Yes, I hope he pardons those people day one. But they have filed a class action lawsuit against the Department of Justice. I think 100 people that have been prosecuted by the Department of Justice for January 6th have filed a class action lawsuit against the Department of Justice. You know what else I hope? I hope he takes it a step further. And I hope that Pam Bondi can appoint a special counsel to investigate the J6 committee and its legality. And hopefully we can see some justice done to that injustice, because that whole committee was not constitutional in any way. And a lot of those people were convicted off of the falsified and destroyed evidence from that committee. So that's
Which
what
is
I hope. I hope
illegal.
that I hope there's a special counsel appointed to investigate some of the
The
corruption that's been going
investigators,
on. Yeah,
the
because
hunted.
like, let's be honest, I hope that Trump stops palliating some of our corrupt individuals on the Hill and really starts fighting fire with fire.
Well, from what he said, and he said this a couple of times in interviews, um, NBC was trying to get a gotcha, asking
Mhm.
him, will you go after the investigators? And he says, I personally will not. I'm not going to direct it like Biden did to him, who Biden went after him politically. He says, I'm going to let, God willing, Kash Patel, who's hopefully going to be FBI director, and Pam Bondi is going to be hopefully AG. They are the ones that will be investigating, but he, as president, will not direct them to. But they know that they have a job to do. They need to weed out the corruption, go after that corruption, and jail that corruption.
Amen. Amen. Well, let's see how much Trump can clean out the swamp in these 4 years. And I'm really praying that JD Vance doesn't turn into a Mike Pence. So let's keep our fingers crossed
He's
on
a
that.
Marine, okay, so he better
Well,
not.
I mean, anyway.
Hmm.
Anyway, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. We are going to be trying to give you guys a video at least once a week. So subscribe, smack that bell so you'll be notified anytime we post a new video. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.